how I wish to go down with the sun, sleeping, weeping with you. Bit of Nightwish to get us going. Who remembers Nightwish? Gotta roll my sleeves up, get really into this. I'm a chicken, apparently. Autumn is here. The girls are here. So I'm very autumnal today. Fucking, there's always a plastic bag, isn't there? I am going to start out with saying that today's episode is sponsored by this fucking thing. I'll move the wine over. We'll get to that in just a second. Isn't your first time here, is it? Sponsored by this bloody thing, which we found in TK Maxx. I just fucking live for it. So it's black twigs, and it's got glitter all over it. It's a grey gunmetal, but in like light, it sort of has like blue hues and like little bits of like green and stuff. It's gorgeous. Also, you won't see this, but ready? Lumos! Get it, Harry Potter. It's so precious. It's my new favourite thing. I'm just going to put it right here so that everyone can enjoy it. Welcome to today's episode of This Wine Tastes Like Crap. I will be your host for the duration of the flight, and my name is Olympia. I have got a lengthy bit to talk about school and teachers and stuff, which I think a lot of people are going to have an input with this, like comment-wise, so comment down below. But let's just start with the vino, because that's why we're all here. And today, some of it's gone, like occasionally we'll do an episode and the wine will be gone, but this is because Nova did a pasta dish the other day, like a white wine, garlicky, creamy pasta, and I will give her due. I mean, kudos. It was fucking great. There's a first time for everything. So that's why some of this is gone. I did get one of these the other day, a similar one, and it was revolting. And I went to buy another one, so she used some of it, but I've got a feeling it's actually the same one. Something stinks over here. Okay, we filmed that snow cone thing the other day, and I smelled it then. Is it the plant? It's the flowers behind me. They're like rotting. Very apropos for Novympia Heights. That's what it is. Now I know what it is, I can get on with it. So it's a Maguigan Estate Sauvignon Blanc, Southeastern Australia, which is gorgeous. 2017. It won awards apparently. Look at this. It won International Winemaker of the Year, International... Oh, it's all the same award. Different. They just won it apparently. But I don't understand that. This specific bottle, they won it. God, I just don't know anything. Well, they haven't won it since 2016, so they've dropped the fucking ball somewhere. Probably with this particular one, because it tastes like... But, okay, let's have a look. This Sauvignon Blanc is packed full of bold passion. I officially give up. How can you have the fucking audacity to say something is packed full of bold passion... Oh, bold passion fruit, it says, if I'd read it properly. Jump the gun there. And zesty citrus flavours, again. Next time I'm going to buy one of those that's actually supposed to taste like a peach, got a giant peach on it, and then we can talk about whether or not you can taste those flavours in a wine. Because these you can't serve well chilled, it's slightly warm. But I appreciate is perfect when matched with lightly spiced Asian fusion dishes. What's a fusion dish? Fusion cuisine combines elements of different culinary traditions. Is that like when I'll make a fajita, but I'll just put spam in it? I've never heard that before. That's very specific. That's fine. Best enjoyed within 1 year of purchase. You know, in wines you can store them for years and they're great, but sometimes there's something wrong, isn't there, when it's within 1 year. Within 2 days of opening, it's been a solid 5 days. 11%. I don't know. I'll tell you why I got this, because they didn't have much else there. I don't really like Pinot. I really like Chardonnay's my favourite, but places don't seem to do Chardonnay anymore. Bars. Fucks me right off. But this is the next best thing. It's only 11%, which is obviously garbage. But, you know, in an emergency. What is that? What does Emmy Made in Japan say? Takias. It's sort of bland. There isn't much flavour to it. It's a bit watery. Outstandingly intense and rich. Well, they haven't tasted it. This is why they dropped the ball. Haven't won that award this year. Let's go again. Let's just try it again. It's fine. Like, it will do. Enjoy our bliss. What is that? How can you enjoy someone's bliss? Like, who even comes up with this? Enjoy our piss. Right, okay. Let's get into it today. Hello, Head! Head's joining me today. I should have given you some sort of autumn hat. A nice fascinator moment. God, that's gorgeous. I'm so happy about this. Welcome to the episode Head, and as per usual, you're going to sit there and do absolutely nothing, and we're going to talk about schools and like a high school. Teachers basically is what I want to talk about. So I was on YouTube of an evening yesterday and I was watching these videos, and you know how you get onto stuff, you go down a sort of sinkhole and you end up watching like Loose Women or something that you would never watch, and it was videos about students surprising their teachers with words of adoration. Maybe the teacher had been away for a while or ill and have come back, and the students prepare a song, or they some sort of stupid setup, very sort of viral Ellen moment, that sort of garbage. And I was thinking to myself, God, you know, I feel cheated because all these people are, you know, ex-students coming back saying how much their teacher changed their lives, how inspirational this teacher was. And I feel cheated because I attribute those ideas and those feelings towards absolutely no one. I know I'm not the only person that thinks this, that, is there anything on my tail? That most of my teachers were sort of trash. Not all of them, of course. Some of them really were, and we'll get to that particular dickhead. But like, I wouldn't say there was one that was particularly inspiring. None of them were inspiring. I went to a grammar school, like an all-boys hoity-toity sort of place. And I mean, there was a lot of pressure on being a man, and it was a rugby academy, so it was either you were super smart or you played rugby, and I was in the middle, just kind of like, where are the crayons? As a gay individual, my high school experience was not enjoyable, and I would not wish that on anyone. Generally speaking, it wasn't terrible. Like, I can't complain, I guess, and it does help shape who you are. But even so, there were some times when the teaching staff were, how do I say this, a bunch of dickheads. I'm gonna tell you about some of my teachers now, right from the start to the end. And I shit you not, none of this is fictionalised. I've changed some names to protect certain identities, but otherwise it's all completely true. Shut up! I need a sound room, like one of those with the big squashy pyramids on the wall so you can't... Shut up! Okay, so this is a definitive list of some of the bizarre shit that I had to endure. Cheers. Samakimas. Don't come for me, I'm not being rude, I just haven't bothered to look up what that is. It warms to the palate the more you drink it. It's just watery though. I wonder if Nova put water in it because I'm such a lush. The first teacher I can recall in like preschool was Mrs. Reed, who looked a bit like Elizabeth II, but that has nothing to do with it. She once, and we're all sitting on the floor, they make you sit on the floor, don't they, and they read a book to you, like a bunch of fish. Her fully grown daughter was in on the lesson that day, and she sat in the corner and just watched everyone, and she was full on goth. She had knee-high patent boots, like fishnets, skirt was like right up to her vulva, and like mesh, and I can't be 100% sure that I saw a nipple, but I saw a nipple. And she just sat there with her like pumps, patent leather giant fuck me pump, knee-high boots, and just sort of watched it. Like, why? How was that appropriate for a group of like 5-year-olds? What were you thinking, Mrs. Reed? She's probably dead though. Then, as I was a bit older, there was Mrs. Stevenage, who was a large lady, and she did smell a bit whiffy, pickled egg sort of, you get the scenario. And I could have sworn that in the playground, I used to go and look through this like frosted glass window, sort of mystery window on the building, and look through, and I could always see Mrs. Stevenage in there bending over. So for like years, I would go and look through this frosted glass window and see Mrs. Stevenage bending over. I'm like, what is she doing in there? And then right when I left the school, I realised that it wasn't her bending over, I was looking at a boiler. So that's not her fault at all. Can't trash her for that. But it's a story worth telling. That same school, there was also Mr. Tom, who smelled like a barn. Like an actual barn, like horse shit. He was quite mean, but the general point of that story was he smelled like a horse. In high school, there was Mrs. Dollery, who was the biology teacher, who every lesson without fail would tell us that she wanted to be a tree. How great her life would be if she was a tree just in a field on her own, looking at the sun, photosynthesizing. And we got that story like every day. I didn't learn anything in biology. They make you cut up potatoes and then you put the potato in some water and it swells up. And that, what are you learning? Osmosis? Mitosis is. There was of course Dr. Mombasa, who was the RE teacher, who, I don't know where he was from, but he could not speak English. Like how he got the appointment at that school, I don't know. Because every RE lesson, he would put on a video about the Hajj. Not different ones, the same exact documentary about the Hajj, which is like an Islamic pilgrimage to Mecca, The shit I fucking know about the Hajj, but every single lesson the same tape because he just couldn't speak English. You heard it here first. That's what that school's fees were for. Dr. Mombasa didn't even do anything. Mombasa. Oh no, it was Mombasi. No, that was the chick on Big Brother. She put a fire extinguisher in her vagina. Or no, what was she called? That other one. Was it a fire extinguisher? Someone at some point in time on Big Brother put something in their vagina. That is today's news. We watched the video about the Hajj for about 14 consecutive weeks before some nerd was like, "Sir, we've watched this." And everyone was like, "No!" Because obviously, it's better just to sit there and do nothing than to learn. Mr. Bunyan was a geography teacher who had zero control on the class, which did not bode well for Mr. Bunyan because every single person, every other minute for the entirety of this guy's career in that class would just sit there shouting, "Bunyan!" I mean, it was a good school. It was not a shitter, but this had to have been a very specific time in history for this school, for the entire teaching staff to have been batshit insane. Ms. McDonald was my English teacher. She looked a bit like Peter Pettigrew. She would only ever come in half the time because she was a raging drunk. The IT department at my high school consisted of 3 women. So Mrs. White was this lady who had this growth on the side of her chin that made her speak a bit like, "Oh, what did you?" And she had white tufts and she was very squat. And she earned the moniker Pigeon Woman, naturally. Someone printed out the word spoon 10 times on a piece of paper, but like 100 copies of that. And she started punching the printer because it just kept coming out and she was just like, "Oh, what's a spoon?" Mrs. Karp, who was another IT teacher, would sit in the corner of the room. She wouldn't say much, but she would just stare at the students exactly like this. My friend Tom got a detention from Mrs. Karp because he kicked a tennis ball into her vagina. It was a legendary moment. He chose to say that it wasn't an accident, that it was a goal. Then the other IT teacher was called Miss Paulson, and she had short red hair and green cut-offs and looked 24/7 like Peter Pan. You never saw the bitch drive to school. I'm just convinced she flew out the window. Okay, what subjects did I do there? What else was there? Media studies I did. Yeah, I know. I don't think they do media studies anymore because they've since realised that it is a waste of time. But the teacher, what was her name? Ms. Day, she was called, and she had lovely long blonde hair. And then one time she got this fucking perm and she came in and she like Sally Brown, and she would not come out of the supply closet like all day because she was just super embarrassed by it. What was the deal with this school? I'm shitting you not. I could just say the name of it, but I don't need another lawsuit on my hands. Mr. Andrews was the super fucking cranky maths teacher, and this one time this guy Sam Harmon poured piss out of a Lucozade bottle. He pissed in a Lucozade bottle and he poured it in Mr. Andrews' cup of tea on the side. It was so nerve-wracking watching him drink it, and he spat it everywhere and ran out the room. Sam Harmon, sidebar, was so fucking fresh he could have peed in any beverage of mine. Have I told you that story before? I might have done. None of these teachers, there is not one that I would go back and say thank you to for doing a good job or for helping me or shaping me in any way. Just doesn't happen. Maybe it's an English thing. Everyone's miserable. They were competent, but just not inspirational. The PE staff actually were quite inspirational. Oh my god, because they were so fucking hot. I can't even get over it. Mr. Parker, shit. Let me see that javelin. And Mr. Simons, Jesus wept. Someone go get a camera. They were so hot. And they would try and teach me how to shot put. But I just refused to do it because I was too busy just picturing them make out. Although I do sort of resent Mr. Simons a little bit because he taught us swimming. So there was this one day when he was like teaching everyone how to dive, and I would always pray that I would be sick that one day because I just could not dive and I was so scared of the water. And all my other fucking classmates, because they were all athletic and smart, they could all dive in. Well, apart from Ucha, because he was from Nigeria. Everyone in my class just lined up and they just dove in like perfectly, like that fucking Twinkie one. What's his name? Tom Daley, that Olympic dude, they were all like him. They all lined up, perfectly dove in. Then there's me on the end just like, oh shit. And I just fell, I fucking like belly fly. I fell down like a sandbag on concrete. There was a science teacher called Mr. Citrone who would always, it was like a party trick. He thought he was like a magician, which we were like 13 and we knew by this point that it was just lame as ass. He'd get this like plastic rod and this like weird creepy cloth, and he would always like masturbate it to kind of like get it electrically charged. It would give off like sparks. But you just walk past his classroom and all you'd ever see him do is just... He did die though, I know that, so R.I.P. Rest in Poole. Mr. Fleeter, the economics teacher. smelled faintly like Branston pickle. I started a pseudo-rumour, that this one teacher, RE teacher, Mr. Priestman, I know I've told you about this before, I started this sort of rumour, that he touched me in the chapel, which I know is a cruel and childish thing to do to someone, but he looked the sort. Miss Mitchell was this minuscule, she was the deputy head, and she looked like a magpie, tiny woman with huge black hair, and it used to just like flop in the wind. And this one time I lost my USB stick, and it was a brand called Baby USB because it was so tiny and flat. And she found it like in the common room, and she wrote on the whiteboard like, small baby, black baby USB stick found in pigeonhole, like near the lockers. And by the end of the day, I shit you not, someone had like rubbed out the words, and it said, small black baby found in locker. Inquire at the office. There was one history teacher I had, but all of my history teachers were cruel assholes. All of the DT teachers were cruel assholes. But there is one in particular, and his name was Mr. Englefield, and I will just flat out say the fucker's name. I have changed some teachers' names because some of them were nice and don't deserve to have a drag queen shit on them on the internet. But this guy was such a cruel piece of shit because he, in front of students, asked me when I was going to just give up school, just drop out and start planning weddings. That kind of joke between like Nova and Shah, whatever, it wouldn't even register on your radar, but saying something like that to a closeted 16-year-old boy is so cruel. He had it out for me from day one, and I'm convinced the guy was just a massive fucking homophobe, and I always thought about what I would say if I went back and saw him. I curse the day you were born! But honestly, the idea of there being like an inspirational teacher to me is just so far-flung. My school did nothing to curb homophobia. There was no discussion about it ever. Actually, you know what? That's not true. This is interesting that this has happened because I've been talking about all this and I've forgotten about one teacher, and his name is Mr. Hookans. And I, funnily enough, had forgotten that he once spoke to our class about, look, I've got gay friends, some of you might be gay, who gives a shit? And he used to swear, which to like a 12, 13-year-old is like, oh my god, let's listen to him. It's a big deal. So I guess if anything, and I was such an asshole to him, I really was so like, apathetic. So I guess if I could go back and thank anyone, it would be him. You know what? Bugger this, that's what I would do. I would thank him. I would apologise for being such a miserable, wretched prick. I was such a prick. I really was awful. I once went into Mr. Walter's class and just said like, you know what, I hate this lesson. He wasn't impressed. He wasn't happy. No, his face went bright purple. But there you go. I would thank Mr. Hookans. Inspirational? No. But at least he had the balls to just say to people, you know what? Who the fuck cares if you're gay? So well done, Mr. Hookans. Thanks for that. Otherwise, nah, no one I would hug. I wouldn't hug a teacher. You ever hugged a teacher? School was a stressful time. It was pretty horrendous. But, you know, what are you going to do? The fuck are you going to do now? What were your teachers like? Let's just put it out there. Did you have an inspirational teacher? And have you told them? They were cute, some of those videos. It's nice to see like a teacher who really cares and isn't just like rolling in, like smelling like piss and cigarettes, like drunk, just slumped down, and then will just make your life hell. That is just someone who's doing it for the money. They don't give a shit. They're not trying to inspire for the, what was it? For the inspire and the desire. What have we learned today, guys? I was not nice in school, but the teachers weren't either. People weren't nice to me. I mean, for God's sake, being gay in an all-boys school, you look forward to PE because everyone got naked. And also, this McGuigan's estate is really bland. There's nothing to it. It's not nice. It's not, I don't dislike it, but it's just like water. So, you know, send it to Africa. Okay, y'all, I've been Olympia. This has been Head, and this is this cute bloody twig that we got from TK Maxx, $9.99. Yay! Join us again for the weakest link. Join us again for This Wine Tastes Like Crap. Please subscribe to our channel. And if you'd like to become a patron, then listen to listen afterwards. Listen, because I do a cute bit after this. If you are an Arch Druid patron and you've not sent me your bloody birthday, then get on Patreon, please, and send me your birthday. Because I don't know how to wish you a happy birthday if I don't know what it is. Bye then.
And a Julie, do you love me truly to our brand new patrons May and Grant O'Neilly Cummins. Today's Spotlight patron is Millicent Clark, who I once heard is a mad slut.